Today we're going to talk about silent films.
Hello, welcome to I'm Angry, Annoyed, and Amused podcast. You're on with Mike. So next to me is Matt.
What's up?
Over there is Johnny.
Yo.
Across the table is the other Mike. He's doing a silent movie.
First of all, he said, did he say reviewing silent movies? Why did we all stay quiet? Because we're still would talk about how good
I
the
knew where
movie
he was going. I knew where he was
I
going.
know. We all did it. And
Today we're going to talk about silent movies.
No, but we're not silent movies necessarily.
Not silent movies.
Really, what we're talking about is the fact that Hollywood seems to only churn out remakes, or what's the other? What are they?
Bad
There's
remakes,
sequels, and there's a third thing.
Prequels?
They like revamp it. It's the same.
It's
It's
a
a new one.
Reboots?
Reboot and
Reboots.
Reboots.
Yeah, like they rebooted like Predator. You know, it's like the same thing. But they just
Yeah.
like restarted it.
And if everybody's wondering, yes, I've been sick for 3 weeks.
It's
Nobody was. Most recently, I'll get it started. Most recently,
Thanks for caring, Mike.
and definitely the largest like high profile example of a remake is the Snow White. Just because, I mean, Snow White for a lot of reasons, like this most recent one's under a bunch of fire politically and whatever. But just as a remake, forget about all that other stuff. I really don't care about their politics or anything like that. They took like, what was it? Was it the original Disney movie? Was it the first one?
They took the original Disney.
No.
But
Right.
Was
the
it one
first
of the
Disney
original?
movie?
I think it was.
I think it was like their first feature
Oh, I think it
length.
was their first
Princess.
feature
First
Princess,
feature
maybe.
length.
right?
Princess, maybe.
No.
I think it was
whatever. It was like
I think it might have
1937.
been actually
Whatever.
their
It might be their first
full
one.
length.
No,
Regardless.
isn't
But regardless,
Boxcar Willie one
they
of their
took
first?
it.
their
No, that
first
was like a
full
cartoon.
length-
Like it was a
Oh,
film.
full length
And they
movie.
Oh, a
completely-
real, okay.
Yeah.
I thought
The
they had a
original Snow
cartoon
White was like a
first.
movie.
Oh, it was?
They did have a
turned it
cartoon.
around.
I'm saying a full, like an hour and a half movie.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Nonetheless. Obviously, it's like a big Snow White, though, is still it's a huge IP.
Huge.
You know, it's been since 1937. I don't know if there's been any other remakes, and it's been around. Everybody knows about it. Everybody's seen that movie at some point. Oh, most people have seen that
I've
movie
never
in
seen
their
the
lives.
movie, but I know all
Really?
about it. That's
How long
it's
it's
been
incredibly
around. Right.
popular. And they just
Snow White
they,
and the Seven Dwarfs, first movie,
It
1937.
was the first one, right? That's what I thought.
So they just remade it recently. It's been like we said, it's been in the news for a bunch of reasons. But as a remake, right? Hollywood definitely has a problem with remakes, especially when in this case they're not even remaking. It's like one thing if
They
you're
didn't
saying
stick to the original.
we're taking the
They
cartoon
changed
and we're
it,
just
right?
gonna make it real life people doing the same thing as a
But they
cartoon.
changed the
They're
whole
also
context of it.
changing. I haven't seen it, but they are admittedly changing.
Yeah.
Like the context, the plot,
The storyline
points, like
is
everything,
different.
everything. And they're just calling it Snow White because they own Snow White.
Not even changing it to get closer to the original story, which I think is funny.
Yeah,
right.
right, 'cause it was also
Disney,
technically it comes
Disney
from a-
changed it.
It's original like Grimm
initially
Brothers tale or
from
whatever.
the story,
Which is fine.
And
that
then-
happens,
right,
right? You,
yeah.
you take a book and
And
you change it
then-
into
Yeah.
something else.
and then
right?
They changed it again, but not back to the original story. They
Yeah,
actually
further
just
away
changed
into
it
some new
even more.
some
Right.
new
So
thing.
yeah, over the past almost 100 years, Snow White's gone through a lot of changes.
But I mean, the lack of originality in all of these things is like mind-boggling.
So that was my that was
Yeah.
my point, because I've noticed it a lot. I go to the movies a lot.
Did you see this?
And I didn't. I have no
Okay.
interest in it. But I go to the movies a lot, or I watch movies often anyway, and it is like every movie that comes out is generally speaking there's four really, right? So you have sequels, remakes, reboots, like we're talking about, and then there's another one that's just like a biopic of some kind that describes a famous person's life. Essentially,
Sure.
there needs to be an outside factor for people to see movies now. It has to be IP or related to a person or something for people to go see movies. And some of them are really good. Dune 2, great. It's
Yeah,
based
sure.
off of something.
IP.
Intellectual
Intellectual
properties.
property. It's
Just like it's their thing that they own.
it's
I
right.
understand that.
Oh,
so
why'd you
so
add
my question is, because
didn't get the-
I
I didn't
complain
get the
about
acronym
this.
for a second.
I complain about
I
this as
understand what
well.
intellectual property is.
I complain about this as well, and I know you like movies. You probably are upset at it too. But do you think people would go see original movies if they came out?
I think
Do you
so.
think
think so.
it's fully driven by, because people don't really go to the movies?
Have people gotten dumber and feel the need to just like consume slop that's
Well, I'm
thrown
just
at
saying.
them?
I'm
Yeah.
talking about
But I
actually
think
getting
plenty of
people to
would.
walk into a theater, because these are
Yeah.
theatrical.
No, I
movies.
get what you're saying.
I think that it's both. I think it's a lot of laziness, because a lot of them are bad and not loyal
but,
to the source
I think people
material
would
at
go
all.
for original movie
Yeah,
material.
like more modernized,
I
100%.
mean, the hope is that the movie's good, but you hope that with any movie you go
Yeah.
to. That's why I don't really like sequels.
I mean,
Sequels
I'll
never
give
grab
them-
me for
I-
that reason, you know.
Sorry, I would give movies one out as far as remakes, where I think taking a book and making it into a movie does not count because you're changing the entire medium
Right.
of the thing.
But
the
my
art.
point-
It's
But
Like,
hard
it's a whole
to
different.
it's hard to take a book and
It
turn it
still
into a
gets-
movie.
Right.
Same
Well, I just
thing-
because I was going to
still-
say Dune.
But the same thing I
as
feel
an
like
example of most
there was
people
a
haven't
movie.
read. Oh, true. There was an 84
the same thing I
movie, yeah,
feel
sure,
about like
forget it.
movies to
I forgot about
Broadway.
that.
Like it's seems very different too. But now you're taking this thing. You have to. I feel
Yeah,
like
well, now they
that's
have books
Oh,
to Broadway to movies.
That's
Like,
crazy.
Wicked, they just made
But
it
I
into a
think
movie.
Yeah.
Good, but
I think
It was a
it's
good movie.
interesting. That was a good
Wicked?
movie. I,
The new one?
My point
It was
is,
good, I liked
my
it.
point
It's
is
only
that,
first
that
half.
it still counts for books, as I'm saying that it being related to a lot of people want to go see
Well, I was
Dune
gonna
because
say-
it's Timothy Chalamet and Zendaya. But
Fair enough.
My point is that it being related to something
went to
that
school with
people
him.
know that has that name recognition,
By
I
the
think
way.
is what gets people to go to theaters. Like
what the call-
Barbie
Oh, sorry.
was, it was a movie about a toy, not a remake of a movie.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason people went to go see it is because it was Barbie, not because they like thought this original story was going to be incredible.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Okay, so I fair enough. What's your answer to like? I would say I think one of the. I mean, for every Disney doing Snow White, right? They pretty much have like I feel like every other year like a new. I mean, now they're doing sequels of their own newer movies, but they would come out with like an original like Soul.
I don't know
That was
what.
an original.
Pixar. I
right?
think
Shrek. I mean, I know that was 20 years ago now, but
animated,
like
I
their
think-
first one, that's an original. I don't know that.
I don't know
Right,
why
but
they.
that's from a long time ago.
Fair enough. I'm saying that's 20 years
post-
ago,
I'm
but
saying
I think they still
post-COVID
make.
is my point.
I don't know why
When
Disney just
people
can't
stop
come up with a
going
new
to the
princess or a new prince or whatever they want. Just
Well, I
create
think
a
to
new-
this is
Matt's point, that
point
would
is
be the
they're
same
doing
thing.
They're doing it because they cannot otherwise get people post theaters reopening in 2021. Cannot otherwise get people to pay $17
To
go
see
sit
something
in a
completely
movie
new?
Theater.
Really?
I think they can't. Nobody's. When was the last time you watched a movie trailer?
I haven't been to a
What
movie theater.
Like, what movie?
and I've only been to like 3 movies
I
in my
can't
life.
think. That's the thing. I can't.
I hate movie
even
theaters.
But
really
if
tell
an
you.
original movie came out,
Yeah.
right, something that somehow you never heard of before, like every concept is going to be out there, right? Like
Not necessarily like I
Yeah,
would
in
say,
a way, I
would
get
say
what you're
concept is
saying.
out
I
there,
get what you're
right?
saying, yeah.
Good guy, bad guy, or
Yeah,
you
but
know,
if you go too
princess,
too broken down, everything.
I mean, it's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
There's
yeah.
only
Something
one like
new under
story
the sun,
told,
like
kind
that.
of.
Yeah,
That's
it's
what
like
I'm saying.
music.
Like
Like
every
Odysseus
concept
or
is out there. So
whatever.
what do you
no,
consider
I mean,
to be an original?
Original
He's
is
saying
not
not
based
pro-
off
not
of
using a thing.
intellectual property of some kind.
So he's saying like Barbie, right? The movie Barbie. It's not. There wasn't. I mean, there might have been like
There was,
some
like, animated
old
special or
animated
whatever, but there was
cartoon or whatever. But
not
like,
like this, yeah.
Everybody knows of Barbie the toy,
I'm a Barbie
and the Barbie
girl.
movie was about. It was a human version. You know, it was like.
Yeah.
But it's about Barbie. So he's saying that the only reason, or not the only reason, but the primary driver is people presented with Barbie or like something they've never heard, like just some new movie. Name a random title or. You know, I don't know,
there
salmon
was one-
sweatshirt.
there was a
right.
Guy
You get to
Ritchie
see
one I
Barbie.
saw.
I
with
wouldn't see
salmon
that. I wouldn't
sweatshirt,
see that one.
Banshees and Inisherin.
What?
You see these two Banshees and Inisherin was the movie. I think he was. You said Ireland.
No, I said Guy Ritchie, and like
I
2021.
thought
I
you said
saw I
Ireland.
went to go see
Well,
it.
nonetheless,
Anyway,
there's a movie called Banshees and Inisherin. Apparently, it's very good. I've never seen it, but it's like one of those, you know, like from what I've heard. Again, never saw it. Like Oscar bait movies where it's like artsy.
Yeah.
But it's original, as far as I understand it. It's not like a remake. It might be. I don't know. But I think Matt's saying like, for a company, they're gonna go. They'll do, you know, testing, and they'll say, "Hey, 1,000 random people, would you rather see Barbie or Banshees and Inisherin?" And like 95% of people are gonna go, "I don't know what that is, so I guess I'll see Barbie."
Yeah, so actually, I'll say it's like Y2K. That's a recent one. I just remember.
Y2K. How's that recent?
No, the movie.
They made a
Have you
movie.
seen the trailer for Y2K A24 movie? You seen it?
No.
You've-
I've seen it.
you've-
I've seen
I'm
the
sure you've
trailer.
seen it.
Like, recently?
You like movies? It just came out.
It's
January,
a movie
I think.
about.
It's about
it's
Y2K.
A24,
Yeah.
which makes all these
Yeah.
like kind of weird
So,
horror-ish movies.
I'll bring up
gotta
another
watch more TV.
A24. I'll bring up another A24. Saltburn. You guys heard of Saltburn?
I saw Saltburn.
I saw.
Uh,
it. It was
I
an
heard of
awful
it.
movie.
Didn't see it.
Hated it, but
I didn't.
Isn't that on Netflix?
Saltburn. It
or-
came out in theaters. It was an A24 movie.
It did come out in
So
theaters,
A24 makes like art house movies. That's why they're all unoriginal because they're. I mean, that's why they are all
original.
original because they're about. They're more about the aesthetic.
Uh-huh.
But These are movies that you heard of the Snow White remake. You heard of
Yeah.
Barbie,
Yeah.
right? You heard of Oppenheimer. Did you hear the Saturday Night Live movie that they just made?
No.
I actually didn't hear about that one.
Really?
Saturday
hear
about
Night?
that one.
That was a small studio
Really?
to be fair, but
I
yeah,
didn't hear about that one.
They
Who's
just,
in
They
that?
just did a biopic. Nobody famous. It's a really small studio.
If I heard about them, I might go see them.
That was.
So that's my point. I think that people are only talking about and only care about
things they
movies
know
that
of.
have existing IP, and yeah, they're usually bad. Like remakes are usually bad, but people go to the theater to watch them.
I feel like
Where
they're bad
you-
because
This
they
kind of
change
feels
it
like
too
chicken
much.
or the egg.
That's what
I see. I definitely.
That's kind of my point.
I definitely
That's
see
I was-
what you're
That's
saying.
why I was raising the
But
question.
it's so
Which
hard
do you
to-
think actually happened?
It's so hard to
first?
separate.
Or
I think it's the
what's-
story.
I think what
lines
happened
that
first.
suck.
No, what I think happened first before making it. Oh, it's hard to make an original movie. Before people are just not going to original movies anymore. I think the first thing that happened was, like anything, things got more and more expensive, right? So a movie used to be like, I don't know how much it costs to make the original Snow White, but I guarantee that one person's salary, who's not even the main character, is more than it costs to make the original, movie.
Oh, yeah.
Right? But how much money have they gotten from that original movie?
Right.
Right? Maybe not just like first day sales in 1937 because it was $2,
but
but for
that movie's still
100
selling
years
today.
of
you know, or
selling
90 years, it's been selling stuff.
Right.
Snow
Swag,
White, yeah,
everything.
whatever, right?
Yeah, no
so,
one's gonna buy
So their
anything
return,
at
you know, the ROI on that is like, I
owning
probably
a
couldn't even
franchise,
imagine.
You were saying,
Right.
Of having a franchise,
Right.
is-
I think what happened is movies got more and more expensive to make for, I'm sure, various reasons, right? Like there's general production things that cost more CGI and whatever. And then actors, like we've spoken about, like their salaries just go up and up and up. There's no like break point that I've seen that's like, no, we're not going to pay you, $300 million.
It's like athletes. They'll pay 'em
We'll just
whatever.
try to make $5 billion. So like this Snow White movie costs like hundreds of millions of dollars to make. So to Matt's point, I think the first thing that happened is they're going execs, right? And I don't know, there might even be some actual, like I'm sure some real like film buffs know this kind of thing. So it might be something you can look up. But I'd imagine that movies started getting more and more expensive, right? And they probably had one big studio, maybe Disney, whatever, probably had a couple flops. Just like now, they're like, oh, this movie, this 10 years ago, this would have cost us $500,000. We could eat it. Now it costs us. We just lost $5 million because nobody wants to see this stupid movie.
Right.
And they're like, well, what if we make, Shrek 2? Everybody who saw Shrek's gonna want to see Shrek 2.
Right.
So we already know we're making $100 million. So we can spend 50, and then anything on top of that is gravy.
Right.
And we get to keep the like all the swag that we're saying. They're like, we can just keep churning out the. We don't need new Shrek stuff.
Right.
It's just Shrek.
I understand that part of it.
I think that
and
happened
I
first.
I think they take a chance too because sometimes those sequels don't work out, right? There's no way.
But it
They
keeps-
do
there's-
better
there's-
than you think.
But there's
keeps
no
the
way the
brand
fourth Toy Story
recognition.
made as much
They
as
do.
the first Toy Story.
I don't
Right,
know
but
as
people
much,
are
but they
still talking about Toy Story because they kept the series going, and even when it's bad, it continues a conversation.
Yeah, it just
of
adds to
this
the-
one is better.
I know what
because
you're
of
saying.
this, and I like the original.
I know,
and
but
then
what are we
when
like
talking
it's
actual
about?
spaced out,
viewership.
when-
How much money did they make off that?
Yeah, of course
Yeah.
they
Movie?
want to make as much. But
I
there's-
think they make
there's
more than you
tons of
think.
independent movie people out there,
But
right?
more people are gonna see
people
Toy-
are making original movies.
But no matter what,
But
more
I just,
people are
like-
going to see Toy Story 4 than whatever original movie
Fine,
you're thinking
that's
of.
fair, but
Right,
it's,
so
it's
that's
still
what- but
is not.
that's-
But I thought our conversation was about about the sequels and the things not being good.
They're
Yeah.
I
mitigating
didn't know we
risks.
wanted to talk
Well,
about.
my
No, why
the
they're
reason
doing
I
it.
bring it up.
No, I'm
the
saying
reason
why
I
they're
asked
doing
the
it.
question. The reason I asked the question is because I'm saying we're gonna start complaining about sequels and remakes, which I agree because a lot of them are bad. But I'm saying, would you actually go see, or do you have any interest? Have you heard of any original movies? Because that's the alternative, right? We're saying nobody's making original movies anymore. Do you even care about? What are you doing?
I don't know.
Yeah, there's
Do you even
two
care
movies
about the
I care
original
about.
movies?
The vampire movie that the name escapes me now.
Nosferatu.
No, the vampire movie that my friend made.
Oh no.
Right?
Oh, independent
Right,
movies.
right,
you're saying.
right.
Yeah, I get it.
Well, yeah, you could definitely go independent.
And the movie
Yeah.
that I'm anxiously awaiting coming out,
Which one?
which is an original
Mine.
movie,
Which? Oh, yours?
right? I mean, those two movies. So, but there are people that look for original movies,
Right, me.
clearly, right? Not you, but a lot of people that look for it, not just you.
Well, I know.
Right,
I'm
there's
just
a lot of
saying.
people
I'm,
look for
I'm
I think there's
I'm
another
just
problem.
saying that the movies do suffer.
They do. They get worse. The
But-
movies
but-
are
but-
worse
but
for it,
But
for
for
sure.
a big,
Yeah.
but for a big movie company who has all the ability to put the the movie out.
Yeah.
Right. There's no reason why they can't produce originals.
But
I think it's a risk
That was
mitigation.
my
thing.
Even-
question.
But the risk on the Snow White one was that they changed the whole Snow White.
They changed
Had
too much
they
of
did
it.
Even
Snow
if they
White-
hate it, they're gonna go see it because it's Snow White.
Yeah,
That's
but
nobody's
then,
going to see it.
but then
Children
it's
will
Well,
gonna.
they
go
got
see it.
but the only reason they really, I think personally, the only reason Snow White has such a terrible reception
She shot
is
it.
because of
comments.
Zegler
Rachel Zegler.
and Gal Gadot for that measure. Just like the political stuff.
comments.
No Republican is going, but like
Not
because it
gonna
got
take their kids,
because it got drawn into this political landscape. If they had just even if it was the same movie. They didn't change anything about the movie, but their whole marketing for it was like, don't let this idiot talk. Keep this, Zegler, like, act like she's not even in the movie. They'll find out she's Snow White. You know what I mean? Hide everything.
I mean, maybe
more people would have gone. I think, just like a thing. It just so
yes,
happens.
Certainly there's name recognition, but any movie Disney puts out,
People will watch it.
people watch it. Whatever original
not-
movie they put out, even all the princess ones. To your point, everyone is the same princess story, right?
Yeah, true.
Basically,
But everybody goes to see them, right? Every new kid coming up gets to see the new Disney movies coming out.
Right.
Right, you're
Right.
saying they could create an original.
And
Well, they
people
do.
there's
would go
not
see it.
much
Pixar
risk.
does
They
it.
have-
To Mike's point, Pixar does it.
they
People
have-
go
they're
see
relatively
original
successful.
People
Pixar
go see
movies.
them
Although they
they
have had some
because the
sequels
studio
recently.
itself has the name recognition.
Yeah,
You know what
I
I
get
mean?
that. I get that. I think
Right, but
that
I think-
I'm imagining that at this point for like these businesses, they're doing
They're lazy.
an intense amount.
They are lazy.
They're lazy.
I think partially that, but I think
they're
they're
trying to
It's
like
risk
any.
miti- I think- I agree. I think it's mainly
I think
the
they're
risk.
doing an intense amount of pre-screening and things like that, and they're testing out things. And they're fine. I could be wrong about this.
What about-
I just imagine that they're like, look, if we make an original movie, right, and it costs us $100 million to make, we don't have any frame of reference other than saying, well, we're Disney.
I know, it's
but
terrible.
you can't look at the
But then you
entire
don't get-
Disney filmography and they do an average of viewership. Like that's not. I mean, there's Disney
understand.
movies that you've probably never heard of.
When's the
You know
next
what I mean?
blockbuster ever going to come out then, right?
But do we
Well, it
also
won't because the movies
so
have
that
gotten
was my
worse.
do we
point.
also think they do the remakes of all these classics because they want to also change what it was, like we were saying, political? They want to.
I don't know.
Because every movie they
I mean,
re-release, they
there was an
change
effort
it
to
political.
change this movie to be political.
Every movie has been from Disney.
Clearly, what they
They-
changed
Yeah.
Snow White to was a political.
Well, they
move.
couldn't change it in the other way. They couldn't make it more.
But why couldn't they keep it the way it was?
But
they-
they could have left it the way it was.
They could have.
Right.
But
They for sure
they
could have.
totally chose to go in that direction because they thought it was going to help them.
That's why.
Right.
Right. So it doesn't have to do with like, I don't. But I don't.
But
I
that-
think it's the same thing as like, I don't think there's a single Disney executive who's like, we should do this because it's good for women and they'll feel better. They'll feel seen by Rachel Zegler. And it was messed up that they made Snow White a
thought
damsel.
that
They thought it was going to sell.
sell because of it, right? Because of with the whole direction.
So it's
the
all
country
money
was.
anyway. They don't care. They're,
Right.
they're not going to go around and say, no, we're going to do that again because people just don't get it yet. They'll never do that again.
Right. Was it?
She
It was
won't be
a.
another
Let's
lead.
see.
It was
Let's
a
see
flop,
if they never
right?
do it again. It was. A
I
flop.
believe so.
Well,
At
compared,
least
I think
opening weekend.
was 40 million or
They
something.
lost like $50 billion, not billion,
50
$50 million.
That's huge.
No, 100%. So I think it would change because I don't think any of them. It's another thing is like government. When you get to that level, they stop being. I don't think any of them are driven by. I want to put a
Greater
movie
good.
out
Yeah.
because
Right.
it makes people feel good.
Yeah.
It stops being that. It starts being. It's dollar
And you can
signs.
tell. You can tell when it's an honest.
I think
attempt.
they- I think
Like, there
they
are
misread.
Movies, there are movies that are like I actually speak. We were talking about it earlier. I think Barbie, like what's her name,
Oh,
Greta
Barbie
Gerwig,
girl.
was the director.
I never saw Barbie.
Real honest attempt, in my opinion, at like a feminist based like movie and like storyline, and you could tell. You could tell the difference between
they
when
kept
they
it
changed
kind of
it
like what
for-
you would think Barbie was. Like if you watch
no. It was
No?
it was the opposite because Barbie has a reputation of being like a what's the word for that?
ditz?
Girly.
Yeah, not
girly
like
dit-
girly, but like a
ditzy.
ditz,
dumb
like a
blonde.
blonde,
like a blonde, dumb blonde.
yeah.
Sorry, all
Right.
the blondes out there. You're not dumb.
So, and they completely like she completely
I
like
didn't know that was her
deconstructed
reputation.
like completely.
Barbie.
Yeah, she was.
Barbie,
Ken,
yeah.
And
Just
then,
like
and
as
then
a
Ken
girl
was
doll.
the good-looking muscle guy.
Yeah,
Surfer.
yeah. So
Yeah,
so
surfer
they,
dude.
it's very clearly like based in that, but it's also clear that it wasn't done from a position of like some executive somewhere being like, we got to put this in here because it makes us seem more progressive. It was like she actually, the director Greta Gerwig, like actually cared, and you could tell the difference between like Snow White where they like push it out in a certain way and when it's actually told from a genuinely progressive perspective.
You know, I guess that makes me think, you know what probably also is like a big underlying factor of these is that movies like Disney or places like Disney, they're not having a director who has a vision
And is seeing
who's
it
making a
through.
movie. They're doing everything by committee. by 10 guys in suits going,
tell
how
them.
can we
Yeah, who
make
even directed
as
Snow
much
White?
money as possible?
Right.
Right.
So they don't have creativity in there.
There is
Yeah.
none.
They got 10 dudes, you know what I mean, sitting around a table going like,
all with like marketing.
It's a
just
shame,
made, we
'cause
made
they were known
Shrek,
as,
we
like,
made
the most
Shrek
creative
3,
people in
Lion
the
King
world.
9, like they're on the 8th Lion King, like in 3 different versions of it.
That nobody watches.
That nobody watched. Right. So,
Well, that's
but
where
they might be
A24
lacking. But like for the smaller ones that have like a not visionary, but like an artist with a vision,
Yeah.
those movies
That's
are good.
That's
Those don't
where
exist.
A24 got all their
Yeah.
fame from. Their
Well, they
independent
do exist. Like,
studio.
they're good
but
movies, they're just not that
They're
big.
led by directors and writers who are a lot of times first time writers and directors, and they just make movies, and that's what it is. It's not a big like
It's more of a
corporate
money grab.
structure thing.
It's
right?
not like an art piece anymore.
It's a money grab.
Not every. I mean, I don't know. I wasn't around for most of the time, but you know, movies were art. They're like not art anymore.
No.
It's a commodity. Most like the ones, the remakes, the 9th Rambo.
Right.
It's not really art anymore. I don't think anybody making it feels like I'm like stamping my my pride on this
And
thing that's like a
I
piece
think-
of me.
I think sometimes it's balanced well. I think Wicked was like an adaptation, but
It was good.
But yeah, it was.
What about Fast and Furious?
You know, there's
No, like, actors
clearly
can do a
that
good
movie-
job
That
and
latest
stuff,
Fast and
but-
Furious movie is the worst movie I ever seen. in my
They're-
life.
the Fast and Furious movies are bad.
they I don't even understand.
The first 2 were good.
I don't even understand what changed, like what it was from the beginning to what it is now is a completely different type of movie.
They just
now
kept
they're
getting more
now
and
their
more
planes
crazy.
fly through
It's
an
space.
action movie now.
Like
They
they're not their
destroyed
planes,
Rome in the
their
last
cars
one.
fly through space. I'm
Yeah.
like, what was
Yeah,
this?
they're crazy.
Where did this all change?
Yeah, I guess it is. There's no heart in any of it.
Yeah.
Any of those.
Yeah, I think
You know?
that's it's funny to see that we've gotten to a point of making so many like adaptations and remakes where some of them are actually so like solid and like you said, like have a vision behind them.
Well, like for every 7th Lion King, where whoever's making it's like I don't care about it. Just make it look like a lion. Nobody cares. It's like idiot little kids watch this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Their parents have seen it 9 times. They're not going to learn anything new. But then you have like Dune, which is a remake. But you have what's his name?
Timothy Chalamet.
No.
Timothy
Not that. I'm not
Oh,
really
the-
talking about the actors. Actors can do a good job in a bad movie.
Oh yeah.
And do a bad job in a good movie. I'm talking about the director. I feel like
I don't
from
know
what
who
we're talking
directed
about for
Dune.
remakes and stuff, I feel like that's more directorial about what it is as
Yeah,
a movie
yeah.
than like an actor being really good. Villanueva, he's just a famous. I'm pretty sure his name is Villanueva, but like he clearly did
Loves
a good
Dune.
job with that movie. Like he could have made a different movie and it would have been fantastic. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
yeah,
you can't take that because it's not like the '84 movie and that are like shot for shot. They do some of the same things because it's from a book. You know what I mean? But he had a clear vision that made the movie good.
Yeah.
So, you can do a remake, but give it to somebody who, like, I guess either cares about the source material
I have a
or
question for you.
wants
Or
to take the
they
source
say
material and improve
or
on it.
don't
Remakers,
stop
the big
them.
movie maker studios don't care anymore.
That's what I'm
It's
thinking.
about how
But
to get
now-
the money.
That's what I'm thinking.
They don't
Right.
care about putting out original
I'm
material.
gonna-
It doesn't matter. They don't want to have a big orchestra playing in the background.
They just
I'm
want
going to flip this
It's a
to
money
you,
making.
Michael, because you're the way you're saying it, but yet you love all the Planet of the Apes, and those are sequels and prequels and remakes.
Fair enough. I do like the new ones, but I love Planet of the Apes.
Okay,
I
But
mean,
what-
I'll eat it on something.
I'm
But
big
what-
on the
what do you-
original, the very first one, man. I love it.
I like.
But what do you think
I like the
makes
classics.
those still carry on?
He just
I just love apes.
Is it
Yeah.
that, or do
I
you?
love the idea of
He
apes
loves the
talking.
concept.
No, but do you
so
think the
much.
storyline, like,
Well, I think like
keeps
the newer
going?
ones.
It changes, but yet it sticks to
So-
the original.
Well, no. I saw the original. Good movie. Then they made like 4 more of those.
Of those.
Right.
Not that
Terrible.
good.
Really?
Like none of
Terrible.
them. I don't remember any of them being good.
Okay.
And then they really rebooted the franchise. Like it's not the same thing. And
Right.
what they did was they took like in the original Planet of the Apes, it's astronauts that I mean I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but I don't know if you've seen it. But like the planet's already Planet of the Apes.
Right.
The whole movie.
Right.
It's like they're like what's going on?
They
Apes,
land.
Apes run the
Yeah,
world.
they either travel the world or
the
they land on
newest
another planet.
the
right?
newest trilogy, they went like I guess back in time and they went to like the inception of Planet of the Apes. The first Caesar, the first time an ape ever spoke. And that was the first movie. And they did that in like the fourth Planet of the Apes from the original set in like the 80s or whenever they made them.
Right.
They did a prequel.
Okay.
But it wasn't like it was more already because everybody had seen the Planet of the Apes. They kind of just did like this is how it happened. But it
Okay.
wasn't like the whole thing.
Right.
And this movie started, but it was like more of a, It wasn't about the Planet of the Apes. It was like it happened to be an ape, obviously, but it was like a character. It was like you were following one ape.
Wasn't
There was
that
other
the
guys
one
in
with?
it.
Is that the one with James Franco?
Yeah.
That one. Right.
Yeah, it was like more like his relationship with the ape, and
Right.
like the ape getting abused, and like
Right.
and like slowly
Were you
starting to
aware-
not like humans after having been raised and like
Right,
loving a
by
human.
one guy.
So it was like kind of a different
Yeah.
story than the original Planet of the Apes.
Were you
which was
aware
like,
of the original Planet of the Apes before the new one came out?
Yeah, like the one with the Empire State Building,
No, the Statue of Liberty.
Statue
Wait,
of Liberty.
what?
Sorry.
Yeah. Like you
Yeah,
were
of course.
aware
I've
of the
seen it.
original one before the new one came out.
Isn't that Godzilla?
Yeah,
Because that's another thing. I mean, if they're far enough removed, right?
Yeah, it feels like
Isn't that
I
King
mean,
Kong
only
or
because
Godzilla?
maybe because I liked watching it. I don't know
Isn't
if
that King
you,
Kong or Godzilla?
he climbs the Empire State
I
Building.
don't know
at
if
the
you
very
would've
end of
ever
Planet of the
watched
Apes. The big reveal of the
The
movie.
old ones?
The original,
The
Planet of the
original
Apes.
Planet
The
of
big
the Apes.
reveal at the end of the movie. The
Really?
whole movie is played. They think they're on a different planet.
Right. And then
They're like, oh my
realize
god,
they're
this is
back
an
home
ape
again.
planet. They find some humans who can't talk. And like, oh, this is crazy. Like, what's going on? And then at the end of the movie, they get away. They're like riding down the beach on horses.
Just
and they
the one
see
guy. The other guy.
Oh, it's just the one guy. Yeah, right.
Oh.
And he sees the Statue of Liberty poking out of the water, realizing, oh my god, it's Earth.
It's Earth.
I came to the Earth in the future, and they take
Oh,
over at some point.
Okay.
But my
then
point is, if it's far enough removed
from the original
somebody,
like thing.
then someone might pick it up like it's all new, not knowing the original was ever out there.
True.
Right? Like you knew about it, maybe through me. I don't know because I do like watching those old movies, and I bring them up.
Yeah, if you never
But
saw
other
the
people
first
would
one.
never
Definitely the
know
case of Dune.
Well, it's like Dune.
about the
Yeah,
first
definitely
one.
the
Dune
case
they
of
made.
Dune.
Most
Nobody
people,
knew.
the
Right.
1984 one was like a small movie back then. It has like a cult following, but it's definitely not like widespread. And his books are not, it's not.
Well, if you read,
it's not
if you
what's
read
it called?
sci-fi, you know, but
You know, but I just mean it's to the mainstream. The way Dune,
I'm saying
the way
to-
Dune sold as a movie,
Yeah.
has nothing to do with the book sales of Dune.
Right.
I'm
Like,
still waiting for the Rocky Horror Picture Show to have a sequel.
Really?
Did you ever see it?
Nope.
I guess I'm changing my general
Can
outlook
we just talk
now.
exclusively about Patrick Swayze movies? 'Cause
That's the only
Johnny's
thing I
not in
know.
this conversation.
I'm gonna say that
I don't know any
Planet of the
movies.
I don't
Apes, you're
think.
coming
I
back.
think there's a.
I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
watched. I just watched.
I think there's an
Point Break the
issue
other night.
with remakes and reboots.
So good.
Because it's unoriginal and they're generally worse and worse and worse. The movies don't get better.
You get some good sequels.
They don't care about.
Well, I was gonna say,
Back to
I
the
think
Future,
more important
you know.
than that is like you can't, and like I think like definitely Disney. I feel like this is the thing. Like we've just been saying, are really the large companies. It's not the fact that you're doing a reboot or a remake. It's that you're just doing that for money.
Right.
You're not
Right.
saying let's take it from a different angle.
So instead
let's
of
do
them
Lion
putting-
King and
like-
like really look at Scar's.
Instead of them putting
thing.
out,
I don't know. Maybe that movie was good. I didn't see it.
I didn't see it.
don't
Which
know.
one?
That movie
instead
might
of putting
have
out
been good.
multiple movies, they could
The
put a
new
lot of
movie
money
about,
into one new movie and try
think-
and
I think
make
it's
it.
called
Like, I
Colossal.
don't even think the money's the thing about like you have to throw money at the problem. I think it's you have to give these jobs to like truly creative people
Or people who
want
care about the
to be right, who want to have pride in the thing they do. Like there's tons. I imagine maybe there aren't. I imagine there's tons of writers and directors out there
But
who like have a
who would love
passion
to sell
for
their
the
Isn't that
art.
one of the
Snow
reason
White.
Wicked was good? Because like
Well, because they were like theater kids apparently,
well,
and they're
and
like,
the-
I always
Yeah.
wanted to do
exactly,
Wicked.
and those
So
people were
they-
in there and put like their heart and soul
Yeah.
into that
Yeah.
and played it for what it was. It wasn't really changed much. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah, right. You don't have to. I mean, well, when you're changing mediums, or
Right.
not mediums, but like obviously that was a movie,
Right.
Right.
But like Wicked was never, or sorry, Wicked was a musical. I don't know if they
Right.
ever made a movie. So it gets kind of you can really just take for take. If you're just like updating the movie every 10 years with like new
Was it?
people,
Wasn't Wicked? No.
It wasn't a movie. No.
I don't know if they ever made. They
I don't
might
think
have.
they ever
I've never
made
heard
a
of
movie.
another.
I never heard of it.
I don't think they ever.
It was
made
a musical
Wicked
for sure.
movie.
The play was great.
It's a yeah.
Yeah,
It was
I
a
never
musical,
saw it, but
right. There was always music.
Yeah.
But it's a play.
yeah, the songs are
Yeah,
all
well,
from the
okay.
the musical.
Right. I'm just
They
saying like
did it like the
you
play.
can
The movie
change
was like the
over
play. Like-
if
Yeah,
you
no, I never saw
do
it.
if you make
Oh, you didn't see it?
The
If-
play, I saw the movie. I never saw the play.
No, I'm saying they did the movie almost like it was a play,
Oh yeah.
like
Yeah.
in the way
Yeah,
they
they even
shot
cut it
it
into
and the way
acts.
they did it
Yeah.
and stuff.
I just think like if you're taking something from one medium and putting it to another, you can do a shot for shot, so to speak, because just by changing from a musical to a movie,
Right.
it necessitates a change that like the same scene won't look the same because it's a different venue.
Right.
But like if they remake this Wicked in 10 years, you can't do shot for shot because then it's just the same movie.
Right. You
Like
do have to
literally,
change-
it's just,
you
you
do
have to change something.
things.
Yeah,
If
you
you're
have to
remaking a
change
movie
something.
again, but that's why like the first, I didn't see it, but I believe if I understand, they like did the Lion King, but not real. Obviously, they didn't use
Live
lions.
action.
But-
Live
yeah, but they didn't
action.
use lions like CGI.
But it's CGI, but
it
it's
looks
live
like
action.
live.
Yeah, it's much more
But that was
modernized.
like a shot
Like
for shot of
AI.
the original. They didn't. because it was like I think their thought. I think it was a bad idea. Again, I didn't see it, but I know it didn't do that well. They just did a shot for shot. They did the Lion King, the original Lion King, exactly how it was,
Right.
but in this more modern look.
Right.
And it tanked because it's like
I
I've
always say
seen
that-
this movie.
I always say that.
You know what I mean? If they had
about-
done the Lion King, but like told it from a different angle or whatever.
Yeah, tell it from somebody else's.
Yeah, or
always
just like
say-
change something
I always
dramatically
say
about
that
it.
in general, but I said it especially when the live
Tell
action
from the hyena's side.
Avatar: The Last Airbender, I don't know if it was like the Netflix live action.
I've seen that. I saw that.
Not the movie, but the live action series on Netflix. And everyone's like, I hope it's nothing like the movie. I hope they keep it as like very strictly like the cartoon. And I'm like, if you want to watch, like, it's a good animated show. If you want to see it, watch the animated show. Like, why would you? You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like, I agree completely. I think that it does have to change. If you're gonna,
I think TV to
something,
TV or movie to movie, you can't
you
do a
have
shot
to,
for shot.
You have
remake.
to remake. You have to change it. But to
And
your
that's
point
fine.
about,
I mean, and those could be good.
to your
No,
point
that'll be
about-
terrible.
To your point about,
Unless it's really old. Like if they did Snow White like that, I'd say okay, you're modernizing it,
Right.
right? Like that, but not when it's Rambo 8 or Lion King 7. That Lion King came out in 2000.
What I was
going to
say was
whatever,
to your
like,
point. To your point about putting the hands in the creatives. If you did that every time, even attempting to do a shot for shot because of the different ways that
It would
directors
have to
handle things,
change.
it would have to change.
Yeah,
so
true,
like it
true.
happens by default if you would just do that, but they don't. And so when you're recreating a shot for shot Lion King in live action, right? You're doing it, like you're doing it from a committee of people's perspective or whatever, where it doesn't change at all.
You know what I would love to see?
What?
To your point, I think it would be so cool if they did it. I just don't think the directors would. If they took like some of the truly good acting directors and they had them do one of these like dumb old IPs. Like if you gave like, and I don't really like his movies, it's not my style, but like Wes Anderson, if you guys ever seen those like
Yeah.
really
I like his movies.
symmetrical
yeah.
and it's like not my
He has a
taste.
very like specific.
It's not my taste,
style.
but you can always tell if it's a Wes Anderson. If they took like, I don't know, Rocky and had
And
Wes
did
Anderson do it.
That's cool.
Or they took Lion King and had Tarantino do it.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, that'd be
People
so.
would like that would be,
If I
That
were
was
him,
you know what I
so
mean? And
weird.
they're like
I'd do it.
keep about the like you don't have to do the same plot. You can like mess with it, but kind of make it like Lion King.
He's gonna.
You know, but it's
Or if-
Tarantino.
you know
like
what'd be- you know
that
what'd
would
be
be
funny?
cool.
He's
Like,
gonna
those
ma-
the big directors who have a clear because like that's really when you know a director's like has a vision when all their movies sort of look the same or sound the same
Yeah.
because their vision is so tied to who they
Yeah.
are. Like a Tarantino movie, you can tell.
Tell.
First scene, Wes Anderson definitely the same.
Pinky-
I think like
Pinky Mufasa.
You know-
Scorsese.
you know, it'd be
He's kind of
funny.
more, you know, like
know-
harder to just one scene. But like generally by like the middle of a movie, I can tell if it's a Scorsese. You know, I mean, he's
Yeah,
all
yeah.
he's all older now,
You
but
know,
like still.
You know, it'd be funny because I keep bringing him up. If you were on the 10-year anniversary, have Greta Gerwig make Oppenheimer and Christopher Nolan make Barbie,
That would be cool.
and just swap it.
How they look, yeah, that would be nuts. Because that's a cool idea. That would keep
Because
things like
Christopher Nolan, I think he
fresh
has a
without
pretty-
having to.
he has a
Well,
pretty
you can still
noticeable
calculate.
style.
Then you get the double name of you get to go. Yeah, this is Snow White, and it's Tarantino. Imagine Tarantino made Snow White.
No, I could see where you're going.
Yeah,
Be cool.
if I
That'd
was
be
Wes
fun.
Anderson,
But then
I would-
That'd be
your
fun.
whole point is there's no more really creativity in these things.
No, I'm just
But
saying
that
as a
is-
compromise.
That would be.
That would be.
Oh,
but I'm
right.
saying they don't think of it from that perspective.
I agree. I think it's a
Let's
money
get
grab.
the movie out as quick as we can.
That's how I see it.
Continue this plot on. It's the 7th sequel, but we know people are going to come and see it.
Yeah, like they might even. I don't know. I'm just imagining like part of.
you know, like they know maybe they lose a little bit on each sequel, but they still know it's going to bring in enough of money.
Yeah, and
so
part
they have
of
a break point. They're not taking
and they
a
can keep
chance.
selling the merchandise.
they can
to
keep
my
selling
kid.
merchandise that they already have.
Yep.
You know, they're like
Just to refresh it in
our
everybody's
Snow
head.
White, you know, has dropped. Like, let's put a movie out. We'll get a 20% bump over the next 5 years, and then we'll put a show out, and then we get another 10% in merchandise sales. throughout
Because
the
they're
country.
selling
That's a
merchandise
tons.
for this new Snow White movie, but people who don't care about this movie who like the original Snow White are going to buy it.
It's the same dress. Like they didn't
Yeah.
change that. I don't think.
they made it
right?
cheaper looking.
Like the blue and the yellow.
It's the same thing, but it looks cheap. I heard.
Fair enough.
Cut the budget on the dress.
They had to spend it on the
Well,
terrible
originally it was
actors.
animated,
yeah.
so I guess.
Anyway,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not a big sequel.
Did
But-
I don't know, but there's big
would
talks
like to see
about
Wes
one
Anderson
of the her followers. I don't know what we call them anymore.
Who's followers?
The 7, one of the 7, talked in the movie or something. And
Dwarfs, the 7
Oh.
The
dwarfs.
dwarfs.
I don't want to say that word.
Don't they talk
Sorry.
in the original?
No, I don't know if one.
They sing.
But he said one of them said something, and like I saw it on the like TikTok, and he
They
spoke,
didn't
and
talk
like
any-
someone
They
was
talk.
someone was recorded, and the
mates.
whole audience went. So I don't know if one of them
they
doesn't
talk.
talk. Do all of them talk?
They
They definitely all sing together.
they talk.
Hi ho.
I
Hi ho.
hope. Yeah, but
he
maybe
said
one
something
did.
bad. Maybe he said something bad.
No, he did. I don't know. I feel like that's
What
what
did
I
he
saw.
say?
Maybe
I don't
maybe he
remember.
called like another one a midget. How funny would that be after all of the drama surrounding that whole situation? That they break it out with like the CGI dwarves. I don't know. I think that was dumb, personally.
CGI.
I could no, not using
Yeah,
real
some
little
real-
people.
Yeah.
There's got to be 7 actors.
I think that's all.
There's
I
a
think
lot
that's
of-
often the case.
I mean, you got all the actors that got kicked off of the Apple show.
Not using little people.
Apple had they did a remake of that old movie. What was that old movie? Huh?
with
I know there was an
a
old
bunch
movie.
of
No, there was
little
a
people?
this
Willy
one
Wonka?
this one kid goes to his closet and he travels around the world with little people, and they do battles. Time Bandits.
I don't know what that is.
They
Never heard
redid.
of
It's like one of my favorite movies.
Mandela effect.
It must be really old.
No, look it up. It's really
Must
good.
be really
But
good.
Apple did it. Apple redid. They did a series, and it was supposedly really good, but they canceled it for some reason. But all those people needed a job, so they would have loved to go into. I'm just saying.
Yeah, you would
Dopey.
think,
I
right? There's got to
it
be
seems Dopey didn't talk.
Thank you.
In
in the original.
That's-
Oh, and he
that's-
Not that he couldn't, but he didn't.
He didn't really talk.
oh, because he was.
That's
dopey.
what it was.
Did
And-
she name them,
Oh, that's rude.
or did they tell her that those were their names?
That'd be really rude,
right?
right?
I don't know. I don't
I
remember.
No, I think they had. I
Like
think
they-
they
what
had.
they called one of their
I think
brothers
they were wearing
Dopey?
plaques, weren't they?
Did they?
I don't know. I think they did.
Look
They
up,
have
look up
their
the old
names,
character.
though.
Didn't they have names on them or something?
I don't know.
I feel like
Did
they
they have
had
names
wooden
on them?
plaques on them.
I don't remember.
Maybe
that.
maybe that's.
I
Another
feel like they
Mandela
might have
effect.
put that. They all had like the same hats. They might have put that on like the merchandise.
But oh yeah, maybe.
Oh,
So
yeah.
somebody's like, I really like,
Yeah.
happy,
That's
but like
true.
nobody knows the hat from the hat.
Very
Or something
true.
like that because
Effect.
they wore like they look the same.
Yeah.
I mean,
Pretty
they
much.
look
In
different,
the
but
original, like in the book, the original story, she didn't name the dwarves.
okay.
Okay.
That helps. What was the thing? Time Bandits?
Time Bandits. You've seen this. You've definitely seen it. If not, you should all watch it.
Probably really old.
Well,
It's like 70 something. But I watched it like a couple years ago. It's one of my.
2024.
That's the remake. Look up the actual.
1981.
There you go.
I was
There
too
you go.
young.
Do you
Me
guys
too.
think there's a limit that like we can sort of wrap up in a minute? But I just last thing on this. You think there's like a limit to how many of a single movie, like even remakes, reboots, whatever that they can get before they're just like we just gotta scrap.
I
it?
think.
find
I
out
think.
fast
I
enough.
You know
think.
what I mean?
I
like
think 4.
20. Like if they have, you think there'll ever be 20 movies within a franchise?
I mean, they're getting close to
What
that
about
with
what
Fast
about
and Furious.
movies that-
is
And
getting
not
close.
counting Marvel as a franchise.
No, but
That's
Fast
like-
and Furious is
What
what?
about movies
Fast
12?
that
10, I
never-
think.
Fast
right?
and
10?
Furious.
There's
That
Fast
they never
X.
touch.
just-
Oh,
well,
yeah.
there's 10.
Oh, it
but
might
then
be
there's
11 or
two-
12.
There's 10, but then there's like
What about
two,
movies
like,
that they never
side
touch to
movies.
remake?
The what?
They never touched to
They never remake.
Who, what?
There's certain movies they never remake.
The
Why?
Breakfast Club.
Oh, well, there's some that,
That
just
would be a
can't.
great movie.
I think a lot of those, like that time, Fast Times at Richmond High.
Yeah.
There's like time.
But even classic movies
that are
even classic
tied to their
movies, right?
time
Well, they
are
just
very
remade
difficult to
Nosferatu.
redo.
They probably don't get permission.
they'll
No,
start
I
getting
think
there.
like time.
They probably don't get permission because whoever owns it doesn't want to
yeah,
ruin
good point.
it.
That's why Nosferatu. They probably waited
that's
for.
true.
Yeah,
waited
they're
for
like,
the
I don't want you to
people in
ruin
public domain.
our
True,
classic.
true.
Yeah,
But I also
good
think
point.
like a lot of movies.
Like they could do a redo of Jaws,
What?
The Godfather,
Yeah, well,
The
I,
Maltese Falcon. Those
Citizen
old
Kane.
movies never get remade.
No, because
well,
those,
something
as
like-
we were saying,
well,
they're
if you try to
artists.
remake The Godfather and you mess it up,
Yeah,
people are gonna hate
But
you.
that's what I'm saying, these-
Nobody wants to take on that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure he's not.
Hey,
giving.
remake the
And-
best movie of all time.
well, that's what I'm saying. And
No,
these
hard.
but the original, like the original people that watch, like he never saw The Godfather.
no, but
he might
they
see,
might like
he,
the
he
new
might
one.
see the new one. He might love the new one.
I might.
Yeah, but I think
But
I think that's a situation where
Going
the
out
studio,
again?
the
Yeah.
studio's not going to allow.
yeah, it goes back to kind of what Michael was saying. Like those were artists, like the actors, the directors, the producers, and they're like, you're not touching my art. You're not,
Yeah.
you don't take a
Especially
Da
The
Vinci,
Godfather,
paint
it's
it,
so
and
loved, they're not
repaint it.
gonna-
Yeah.
they're not going to.
I think there's that, and then there's also just that some movies are unremakeable.
Yeah.
because
It's
they're
gonna
tied
flop.
to their
time period.
their time
The
period
80s
or
movies
or
especially,
right.
yeah.
80s movies have such a
and 80s.
80s movies have such like a feel to them
Are we about to die?
that it would be really hard to redo. What?
It's like pounding.
Yeah.
Is that thunder?
Garbage truck?
Garbage truck. What's it? Piling down houses?
What's today? Wednesday.
Yeah.
It'd be garbage.
Thanks for knowing on our podcast night what they were here. Now everybody knows we do this on Wednesdays.
Fast Times at Ridgemont, Monty Python.
This week.
You couldn't redo a Monty Python movie because it's those guys.
Right.
Yeah.
No, clearly.
You could try, but like it would just be a thing that I think everybody would go, it's just not gonna work.
No, didn't they try to do like? And I hate these people, but people love them. I think you like them. Three Stooges. Didn't they?
I don't like Three Stooges.
Didn't they try to do a Three Stooges movie?
did.
And
I think they did remake it.
Didn't
It
it flop?
flopped crazy.
Right, because I mean, again,
That
I don't
kind of
like
comedy
it.
isn't even
But
funny
that's what I'm
anymore.
saying.
Yeah.
It's not funny,
You
and
know, you can't-
and
you
those
can't do
guys were
slapstick now.
iconic at what they did for that era. You know,
Yeah.
so you can't.
Yeah,
get
well,
away
Yeah,
with
I
that.
think that's probably why
it's in
Disney
that time.
happens to be actually kind of the best, unfortunately, easy to make remakes because it's a kid movie. They're generally more basic. It's like
Yeah.
a basic
Timeless
bad guy,
movies.
good guy.
And not only that, you're hoping
you know,
you just get
this
new
person
kids.
wins.
You're
Yeah,
just
true.
getting
Yeah,
new
you got
kids
new
again.
kids
who,
every-
They make
you know,
10
timeless
years
Yeah.
or
movies.
whatever.
an 8-year-old girl,
Which is good
is
for
gonna
them
wanna
because
watch
they
it.
don't have to like change their theme parks or anything. Like if
No,
they're
I
coming
mean,
up with
as
original
far as
characters
money
every
making, it
generation,
makes
you know?
total sense.
That's
They
But
have
like,
to
true.
rebuild every ride in Disney World every 15 years.
Yeah.
New generation.
Because they got their
people.
co-followers that don't care what that place looks like. They just keep going back.
I mean, even like Jurassic Park, it's like they're on like 7 now. But the first one's so good.
This first one's fantastic.
It's so good. And now it's just
But
like
the whole
it feels
idea-
soulless.
You lose the whole idea of
You
it.
watch it and you're
it's
like, oh my god! Now
yeah.
they're making like not only they don't even bring back. I mean, they bring back every movie. They bring back dinosaurs now,
Yeah.
but also now every time it's like a new creation. It's like
Yeah.
oh, they bred the T-Rex with the Triceratops in this, and it's like this amalgamation
No,
of
I know,
dinosaurs to be like a scary. And I'm like, just, no, make it dinosaurs was good enough.
And
that was crazy to
correct
me.
me if I'm wrong, because I don't know most of these movies you talk about, but some of these movies I feel like that have 3 or 4 or 5 kind of end like they should just be done, right? And then they're like,
Well,
oh, it was really
what
good. Let's
happens
kind of
is-
push something out, and
what
they
happens-
figure out a way.
That's when like
happens is a lot of
reboots
the
happen.
time-
They're
Right.
like, this is a good. This universe works.
Yeah,
and
Right.
what
it's
happens
fun,
is
but
a lot of
we're
the
at
time
it stuff.
is the original creator or like the person who conceptualized it plans a story, whether
Okay.
it's split up into multiple movies or whatever.
Right.
A lot of times it's one.
Right.
And then they end it because it ended, but then the studio's like, well, we have
Yeah.
because the studio holds the
Right, they own the
they
rights.
own the rights to it.
Right.
So they're like, well,
Let's do
we
more.
can have
Got
this
a
thing.
fourth
We
movie.
don't need you to do it. We're just gonna
Right.
have somebody else.
Yeah,
do
like
it.
Toy
Right.
Story is a great example because Toy Story 3, which I saw the first 3.
Yeah.
It ended the arc of
The kid.
And I mean, I don't even know if Toy Story was like made to have 2 and 3,
Right.
but they were pretty good as far as the trilogy goes.
Right.
Yeah.
And it ended Andy's.
Andy.
He was an adult,
Right.
And he gave the
He
toys,
went to college. Yeah.
and then they made a 4th.
Right. That's silly.
Like, why would you make a 4th?
You're done.
Call it something else. You can use toys.
Yeah.
Slightly different
different
name.
movie.
Make a new
I know,
movie.
that's what I'm saying.
You can use like that art style. Make it look like that. People will understand.
Right.
That'll work well enough for the to your point. Like
Couldn't
what would
they
you
do-
call it? Like consumer
Could they
Yeah,
call it
the
Woody?
recognition.
recognition. That they're like
Couldn't they
that
ju-
looks like Toy Story.
Could they
but
just call it Woody?
Yeah, whatever. Well, or
they
not
did
Woody.
that with
Like use a
Lightyear.
new.
Oh.
Use a new. Oh, true.
they
That
did
was
that with
that was
Lightyear.
kind of a good movie.
I,
like that.
I didn't mind Toy Story 4 either. I didn't think it was
But
that
Lightyear was cool, actually. I think Lightyear.
'Cause in
Okay,
universe,
this is
but
actually
it's
the last
totally
thing.
separate.
This is the most. Actually, last thing. This is the most creative, I think, way to deal with like a remake or a reboot.
You stay in the
In this
universe, but you go
particular,
to a total
not only you stay in the universe, the Lightyear movie, and it's like it says it in the opening thing. It's the movie that Andy would have watched
Right.
to then buy the Buzz Lightyear toy. Like
Okay.
in his universe,
I
Buzz
like that.
Lightyear
There
was
was
an action
something else-
figure from a movie.
There was
Right.
something
Yeah.
else that was like.
See,
and I'm like, that's
similar.
cool
You
because
get
then
a
it's like
different perspective.
it's like, oh, that's that's
There's-
really cool. And
Yeah,
then they
yeah.
didn't have to do anything related to Toy Story, and
Exactly.
it wasn't.
There
He
was-
was literally an astronaut on a foreign moon, and it was like a completely unrelated story.
That's
There
cool.
was something.
And it was like a cool way to do it,
Something else like that. I can't think of what it was, but it was essentially they made
like an
they
in-universe thing.
referenced something and then made it
Yeah.
in a movie. I know it happened in a book. Stephen King referenced this like children's book about the train or whatever, the creepy train, and then wrote the book.
There's a theory. I don't know if this is confirmed that like Kill Bill is a movie within the Tarantino universe,
Oh,
but
yeah.
like the other ones happened. But Kill Bill, because it's like even though his movies are generally very violent, Kill Bill is like another level, and it's like almost comically so. Where like
Right.
like she cuts the guy's arm off and he like jumps off a balcony and he's spewing blood out like 10 feet. Like in all the other movies, there's tons of violence, but it looks grounded. It's like, whoa, that's brutal.
Right.
That movie looked like crazy. And I don't know if he ever said it, but I'm pretty sure there's a theory that those are a film that like, Pulp Fiction guys would have gone to see kind of
Okay.
thing.
Yeah.
Just
Makes
another
sense.
cool, like, fun thing.
Well, we never got the Patrick Swayze's, but
That's
So-
all right because
Well,
he didn't
listen.
remake any of his movies, and they were all good. People did do them, and they saw some.
I'm starting a petition.
Yeah, there haven't been any remakes of Patrick Swayze.
No,
Oh,
they
no.
redid Red Dawn.
But it was not as good. I love the original.
Red Dawn sucked. They redid recently Roadhouse. Also horrible.
Oh, I forgot. I did
yeah.
see that.
I
I forgot
think-
about that.
I know Johnny is never gonna like any.
No, no,
Any
no.
remake.
No, but
of a
he's
Patrick
right so
Swayze
far. So
movie.
far, I'm with him.
Yeah.
The Red Dawn, the first one, was way better.
Classy.
I'm just saying he would never like one anyway, even if it was
No.
great.
And Roadhouse, the first
Roadhouse.
one.
Yeah.
Well, the first one, Roadhouse is hard because that's such a campy movie.
That's so good.
It's so hard to redo because it's so silly.
It's so good.
You
mean
mean like
perfect.
Roundhouse?
You meant
no,
perfect.
No, it's
You
good.
got your
but
words
it's like,
messed up.
that's one of the movies that's like of the time.
Yeah.
You can't like make that movie
Yeah, yeah.
now and with any. It'll either look like a comedy or it looks like you're like taking this whole dumb idea too seriously.
Well, that's what they
Yeah.
did,
And it looked
it was
stupid.
like all CI with
Yeah.
fight scenes, and it was like
Yeah, but
like
they made him like this kind of
flippant,
like
you know,
moody, whatever. But he's like, oh, he's a fight. Like it was
Yeah.
just like you got to kind of make it silly.
right. And they took this guy who was like Patrick Swayze, who was a great fighter in his own right. He was a trained karate and all that. And then they made this guy like this, like you can do 50 flips at one time. Like, all right, you're stupid.
We're gonna do another 25 minutes now.
Yeah,
You want to talk about his dancing ability?
He was such a good dancer. Did you see him in Dirty Dancing?
Anyway,
Not right now.
Well, I'm starting a petition. I think Wes Anderson directing a Rocky remake is hilarious.
I mean,
And
how
that's one of the
crazy
best
would
things
that
you've said
be?
on this show. I think
Thanks.
he should do it.
that would be interesting. I'd watch
So
Yeah.
if I get some
I hope,
credit.
I hope that
want some
happens.
money out of that.
Yeah.
Wes
I hope,
Anderson.
Hope that happens
good
one
luck.
day.
I'm just waiting for one movie to come out in my life.
Two.
Two.
Oh no, the one of them came out.
One of them
already.
came out
Yeah.
already.
Oh, now his.
I'll let you know.
Yeah. Let us all know. Let them know. Maybe they'll come and watch it.
I'm not getting any younger over here.
Your birthday's tomorrow.
Neither am I.
Thanks. Anyway, thanks for listening, everybody. And as always,
Stay angry, annoyed, and amused.